Hi everyone and welcome to Virtue Healthcare. This is our Bodyweight Strength Workout. This workout is for anybody that has been training for a little while, building foundational strength, but still has a lot more room to grow. You don't need anything but your body for this workout, so let's get started.
We'll be starting with half kneeling trunk rotations, performing 6 per side. Begin with your right knee down. If possible, tuck your right toes to increase stability. Keep your right glute squeezed to encourage length in the front of the hip and also increase stability. Block inside your left knee with your left arm. With an outstretched right arm, rotate to the right through your thoracic spine and look back at your right hand. Actively depress your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale as you rotate back. Inhale to reset. Let's repeat this on the other side. Transition to have your left knee down. Again, if possible, tuck your left toes and engage your left glute to help you stabilize. Using your right arm this time, block inside your right knee to prevent it from caving inward as you rotate. Turn your head and shoulders to the left, reaching your arm back as far as you can. Focus on keeping your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale as you rotate back. Inhale to reset. This exercise encourages hip and chest opening, rotation through the upper back, and a slight groin stretch through the front leg. Next, come to all fours for bird dog. We'll complete 12 total repetitions, 6 per side. This can be a very effective stabilization exercise if performed correctly. The goal of this exercise is to stabilize the body against the challenge of your opposing limbs extending. Ensure your shoulders are stacked over your wrists and hips stacked over knees. To increase stability, spread your fingers wide and tuck your toes if you can. Maintain a neutral head position throughout. To stabilize your shoulders, engage your lats and actively push the floor away with your hands. We want to prevent lumbar extension as you extend your limbs. To do this, actively create tension in your abdominals. Don't worry about bringing your limbs high, just focus on reaching them straight out. Again, the limbs extending are mainly challenging the core, which is the primary focus. Next, remain on all fours for the 90-90 bear crawl. We will be crawling in a square for 30 seconds. Tuck your toes and lift your knees 2 to 3 inches off the ground. Maintain this distance consistently and avoid raising your hips higher as you travel. Keep your shoulders and hips parallel with the ground throughout. Imagine a glass of water was balancing on your back the whole time. Ideally, it wouldn't spill as you travel. Easier said than done, right? Coordinate your movement by moving your opposite hand and leg simultaneously. Keep your head in a neutral position. Push your hands and shoulders into the ground. Breathe in and out with control. Return to the half kneeling trunk rotations for 6 on each side. With your left knee down, tuck your left toes to increase stability. Engage your left glute to encourage length in the front of the hip and also increase stability. Block inside your right knee with your right arm. With a straight left arm, rotate to the left, opening your chest and looking back at your left hand. Actively depress your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale as you rotate back and inhale to reset. Let's go to side number 2. Now your right knee will be down. Again, if possible, tuck your right toes and engage your right glute to help you stabilize. Feel free to use padding under your knee as needed. Using your left arm, block inside your left knee to prevent it from caving inward as you rotate. Turn your head and shoulders to the right, reaching your arm back as far as you can. Focus on keeping your shoulders down away from your ears. Exhale as you rotate back. Inhale to reset. This exercise has you moving in the transverse or rotational plane, which is a nice switch up from constantly living in the sagittal or straight ahead plane every day. Make your way back to all fours for bird dog. We'll work through 12 total repetitions, alternating, extending, opposing limbs. Stack your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. To help increase stability, spread your fingers wide and tuck your toes. Maintain a neutral head position. Stabilize your shoulders by engaging your lats and actively pushing the floor away. Keep your stabilizing arm straight. Remember that the goal of this exercise is to stabilize your body against the challenge of your opposing limbs reaching away. To prevent arching of the lower back as you extend your limbs, actively create tension in your abdominals by contracting them and not allowing your ribs to flare outward. Now let's work on the 90-90 bear crawl one more time. We are working on moving in different directions for 30 seconds. Tuck your toes and lift your knees 2 to 3 inches off the ground. Maintain this distance throughout and avoid raising your hips higher as you travel. Keep your shoulders and hips parallel with the ground throughout. Coordinate your movement by moving your opposite hand and leg simultaneously. Keep your head in a neutral position. Actively push the ground away with strong hands. Breathe in and out with control. This exercise helps to strengthen the whole front of the body. It improves your coordination and ability to create stability in your joints. Now that we're nice and warmed up, make your way to standing. We'll be working on lunging forward and backward, vaulting over the stationary leg. We'll complete 8 total lunges on each side. Start by stepping one leg forward into a lunge, pushing the ground away with enough power to transition to a reverse lunge. Try to transition forward and backward without touching down in the middle. Focus on absorbing the ground softly with each step. Your joints will thank you. Contact the ground with the ball of your foot. Be sure your toes are pointing forward and your knee is tracking with your toes. Actively engage your abdominals throughout. Hinge at your hips slightly in order to utilize your glute muscles along with your quads. Inhale as you step into each lunge and exhale to push the floor away to transition to your next step. Coordinate your arm movement. When your right leg steps forward, your left arm is forward and vice versa. This will create a natural counterbalance in the body. Come back down to the floor. We'll be working on a side plank variation. We call it super clams, and we'll perform 8 repetitions per side. Start on your side, supported by your forearm and knee. Stack your shoulders over your supporting elbow. Your knees will be bent and stacked one on top of the other. Raise your hips off the ground, ensuring your body is in a straight line. Do this by squeezing your glutes to keep your hips extended as you work through the set. Hold the side plank and lift your top leg repeatedly with control. Focus on lifting the top leg via the side glute muscles rather than your hip flexors. Continue anchoring your supporting shoulder by engaging your lat. Exhale as you lift your leg. Inhale to reset. This exercise is amazing for strengthening the sides of your body. Next, lie face down on the floor. We'll be working on scorpions for 6 total repetitions, alternating sides. This is a mobility exercise emphasizing chest, shoulder, and hip opening, as well as rotation in the body. Start with your arms extended out in a T or airplane position. Lift one leg, bend your knee, and plant your foot behind the other leg. Allow yourself to rotate your chest and shoulder open in that direction. A stretch through the front of your chest, shoulder, and bicep of the bottom arm is often felt. Feel free to reach your top arm open as well. This is basically the opposite of the sitting position, so it feels really good if we've been stuck in that shape for a while. Return to the standing position for set 2 of 2. We'll complete 8 total lunges, 4 forward and 4 reverse on each side. Step one leg forward into a lunge, pushing the ground away with enough power to transition to a reverse lunge, vaulting over your non-stepping leg. Try to transition forward and backward without touching down in the middle. Absorb force and decelerate your body like a ninja cat. Each step should be quiet and focus on contacting the ground with the ball of your foot. Be sure your toes are pointing forward and your knee is tracking with your toes. Actively engage your abdominals throughout to feel solid in your lunges. With a straight spine, a slight torso lean is encouraged to sit into your hips on each step. Make your way down for super clams again. We'll perform 8 repetitions per side. Supported by your forearm and knee, stack your shoulders over your supporting elbow. Anchor your supporting shoulder by engaging your lat. Your knees will be bent and stacked. Raise your hips off the ground. Keep your body in a straight line by squeezing your glutes to keep your hips extended. Lift your top leg repeatedly with control. Focus on lifting the top leg via the side glute muscles rather than your hip flexors. Exhale as you lift your leg. Inhale to reset. It's important to work all sides of the body so that we can be balanced and well-rounded. Transition to lying prone, in other words, facing the floor. We'll be working on scorpions once more for 6 total repetitions, alternating sides. Start with your arms extended out in a T or airplane position. Lift one leg, bend your knee, and plant your foot behind the opposite leg. Slowly rotate open in that direction and optionally reach your top arm up. A stretch through the front of your chest, shoulder, and bicep of the bottom arm is often felt. The second round through often feels better than the first. You're doing great. Pause the video and grab some water if you like, and let's keep moving. Make your way into a high plank position. We'll be working on a set of 4 slow eccentric push-ups, lowering down as slowly as possible from hands and feet, and subsequently pressing up from hands and knees to reset. Place your hands just outside shoulder width. With a neutral head position, stack your shoulders over your hands. Keep your glutes squeezed to prevent arching of the lower back. Actively engage your core by contracting your abdominals. To do this, hug your ribs down and tilt your pelvis posteriorly. If you're unsure if you're doing this correctly, you can purse your lips and exhale like you're inflating a balloon, and you'll feel your abdominals activate. Anchor your shoulders by engaging your lats. When you're finished your last rep, you can stay on the ground for prone angels. We'll complete 8 repetitions of this exercise. To set up, squeeze your glutes and bring tension to your abdominals. Keep your head lifted slightly, but ensure your chin does not tilt up, keeping your cervical spine aligned with your thoracic spine. Start with your arms overhead, raise them off the ground, and keep them lifted as you slowly trace a circle down towards your hips. Then bend your elbows, turn your palms up, and reach up your back. Reverse the pathway by extending your elbows, rotating the palms back down to face the floor, and then trace that circle back up overhead. Keep abdominal support, especially when reaching overhead, as this is the most challenging position. Focus on avoiding excessive tension in your traps by anchoring your shoulders away from your ears as you work. We're working on actively controlling shoulder range of motion and improving posture by working against gravity. Flip onto your back for supine alternating single leg lifts. We'll be completing 12 total repetitions, 6 per leg. Place your hands either beside your hips, palms facing down, pressing gently into the floor, or just under your hips. Bring your pelvis into a posterior tilt by contracting your abdominal muscles. Start with your knees extended and legs straight up as close to 90 degrees as you can. Alternate lowering one at a time slowly. Only lower your leg as far as you can keep your lower back contacting the ground. The weight of your leg lowering is challenging your abdominals, so think about using your core to resist it and also to initiate pulling it back up. Inhale into your belly before you lower your leg, hold the breath during the lowering phase, and exhale when pulling your leg back to the starting position. Head back into a high plank position for the last set of slow eccentric push-ups. We'll complete 4 repetitions lowering down as slowly as possible from your hands and feet and pressing up from your hands and knees to reset. Set up your hands just outside shoulder width. With your shoulders stacked over your hands and glutes squeezed, actively engage your core by contracting your abdominals. A small cough or slightly forced exhale will help reinforce this feeling. Actively engage your lats to stabilize your shoulders. Press into your thumbs intentionally to avoid placing too much pressure on your outer palms. Lower yourself as a solid unit so your chest and legs reach the ground at the same time. Your forearms should remain vertical, in other words, perpendicular to the ground. After your 4th rep, you can remain on the ground for 8 lovely prone angels. Set up by squeezing your glutes and bringing tension to your abdominals. Lift your head slightly without tilting your chin up. We want your cervical spine in line with your thoracic spine. The shoulders are a ball and socket joint, meaning they should be able to move in all directions. It's important to practice taking them through full ranges of motion so we don't lose that ability. With straight arms overhead, raise them off the ground and keep them lifted as you slowly trace a circle down towards your hips. Bend your elbows, turn your palms up, and reach up your back. Reverse the pathway by extending your elbows, rotating the palms back down to face the floor, and then trace that circle back up overhead. Maintain abdominal support, especially when reaching overhead. Focus on avoiding excessive tension in your traps by anchoring your shoulders away from your ears as you work. Breathe in and out with control. Congratulations, you've made it to the last exercise of the workout. Supine alternating single leg lifts. Aim to complete 12 total repetitions, 6 per leg. Start on your back with your hands beside your hips or just under them. Bring your pelvis into a posterior tilt by contracting your abdominal muscles. Straighten your legs and start with the soles of your feet towards the ceiling. Alternate lowering one at a time slowly. Only lower your leg as far as you can keep your lower back contacting the ground. Think of your leg plus gravity as the dumbbell that's moving away from the main muscle groups doing the work. In this case, the abdominals and hip flexors. Inhale into your belly before you lower your leg. Keep the intra-abdominal pressure by holding the breath during the lowering phase, and exhale when pulling your leg back up to the starting position.
Thank you for joining our Bodyweight Strength Workout. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share with any friends or family. Join the Virtue community by subscribing to the channel, as we'll be posting weekly videos. If you'd like to work with us in person, feel free to check out our website where we have many virtual offerings, which we'll have linked in the description below. See you soon.